so discombobulated, and this camera is like cutting half of my head off, but it's fine. It's there we go. Not cutting so much of my head off. Hey y'all, welcome to another video here at Bookish Realm. Welcome if you are new here. This is a video that I think I've been doing at this point like once a year. I know I did it in 2022 and I know I did it last year. And basically what the purpose of this video is I often get asked a question like, how do you read so much when you have a full-time job and you're a parent? And so I don't typically do weekly vlogs because my life is that busy. I dip in and out of doing weekly vlogs, and so once a year I like to do this video where I explain to people how I kind of formulate my reading schedule and how I'm able to make it through so many different books in a short period of time in a week, which then looks like a huge amount of books at the end of the year. Now, last year I read a little over 500 books, and a lot of those materials were like children's materials, graphic novels, manga, and I just not to, talk down about that, because y'all know I do not do that here. That's not to push that down as being less quality, but they are shorter materials, and so that number typically is a little inflated. Now, I have been in the most recent years been more focused on page count than the total number of books read, and for the longest time I've been trying to read 100,000 pages throughout the year, and last year was the first year since I've been documenting my reading that I've been able to do it. I also want to start this with a couple of caveats because we must, or shall I say, I'm going to start this with a couple of points for reference. One, I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, which does help me make it through a lot of materials. I have a job that doesn't always need me to be in conversation with another human, and so some parts of my day are literally spent in an office setting at my desk, and I am working in a situation where I can listen to an audiobook while I'm working. So I do have that to my advantage, just so you know. One thing that I did change about my audiobook listening is that I typically now do not go higher than 1.5. I think as I've been getting older, my ability to retain the information at 2+ is just not there anymore. I cannot listen to a book at 2.0 speed at all. Like, I just can't. I've just found that my brain is just not keeping up the way that it used to. If it's a book that I'm familiar with and I feel comfortable enough, sometimes I can go as high as 1.75, but I don't exceed past that anymore. I just can't do it. So those are just a couple of pointers that the audiobook listening does help, and I know that that is not something that everyone likes to do or everyone has the capacity to do. Also, know that this is not a bragging situation. However many books you read a year for you and your schedule and your life is adequate enough for you. Everyone has different lifestyles, different schedules, whereas, I can go to work and listen to an audiobook. Someone may work a 9 to 5 where the only time that they could pick up a book is during their lunch break. And lunch break times in the US vary depending upon what type of job you have. 30-minute, 45, an hour. I am blessed enough that I do have an hour lunch break, so that is the opportunity that I take to read physically. So yeah, just giving you a couple of things there so you kind of understand like where I'm coming from, and that my lifestyle is conducive to me reading a little bit more, and if your lifestyle is not, that is okay. I also am not an avid TV watcher. I just don't. Most of my TV time is watching Bubble Guppies or Umizoomi because I have a toddler. So that is what my TV time is. I also put myself on a pretty tight schedule because with my toddler routine to just help with her. I know every child is not like that, but with my child, she needs to have a set routine, and so that kind of puts the rest of my day in a set routine. This is also going to be kind of like an off type of schedule because the day that I'm starting this, let me think. The day that I'm starting this, it's MLK Day. And so I have the day off. This is not a typical day. This is not how my day typically starts. At this time, I am typically at work, but I do not have to physically be in my building today. And so that's why this is a little bit more reading can get done today than probably in a typical Monday. Also, whenever I'm doing this vlog, as I'm updating you on books, I probably won't go into great detail because when this vlog comes out, the reviews for each one of these books will have already been shared. So by the time you see this video, if you're looking for more in-depth critical looks at any of the books that I'm going to be showcasing to you, that video should already be live, and you can go back and use that video for, you know, if you want more thoughts about a specific book that I'm going to be referencing. So I usually stick to a physical book, an ebook, and an audiobook in a day. Like I have all formats on me at all times just because I never know what situation I'm going to be in. Today I am actually headed to a hair appointment. I got up this morning, took my little one to school, came home, got some laundry done, set a timer, and while the laundry was going at it, I read for about 45 minutes, but I'm about to finish the information that I need on a video that's going up today, which is a weekly wrap up. So that takes me a little bit of time, and while I'm doing that, I probably will go ahead and listen to an audiobook that I've been working on, which is The Reckoning by Wade Hudson. I only have like an hour and 20 minutes of this book left, and that is listening to it at 1.5 speed. It's okay right now. I haven't really formulated my thoughts. We're following a boy who lives in a small town in Louisiana, and his grandfather is an activist in the community. He had been absent for a little while because his wife, which is our main character Lamar, his grandmother had passed, and he invites Lamar to a council meeting of sorts, like a city council type of meeting. And he kind of gets to see his grandfather's advocacy like front row center, which he'd never seen before. And he's really interested in like cinematography. He wants to be a filmmaker. He often references people like Spike Lee. And so he has a project for school, and he wants to create a documentary of his grandfather. Unfortunately, before this happened, his grandfather is gunned down by another resident of the town over what appears to have been a car accident. No one knows exactly what happened, but it is now turning into a situation where the family is like getting a lawyer because the police department is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And there's a lot of protesting going on and stuff like that. So far it's okay. I don't see like Wade Hudson, like I've read Wade Hudson before, but I don't particularly see this one doing anything different that we haven't seen in middle grade and young adult literature in terms of like police brutality, Black Lives Matter, just racism, systemic racism in communities, looking at gerrymandering, redlining. So it's a couple topics that we've seen before, so he's not really addressing anything new. But the writing is okay, and like I said, I've read Wade Hudson before, so I'm pretty familiar with him as an author. But that's the audiobook that I'll be listening to while I finish up getting that video ready to go to post at 2:30 today. Typically, this would have already been done, but I took last night to kind of read and relax because I knew that I was going to have a little bit of free time today. The physical book that I ended up reading when I set my timer to read for 45 minutes was Midnight by Amy McCulloch. This is an adult thriller that takes place on a cruise ship that is headed to Antarctica. It deals heavily like in the art scene, and it's really slow, to be honest with you, for like a thriller. And I've done a couple updates on this. I talked about this in one of my previous weekly reading logs, and hopefully by the time that this video goes up, I will have already finished this and will have shared my complete thoughts in another weekly reading wrap up. But it's incredibly slow for a thriller. I think that the descriptions are really interesting and very detailed because the author has spent a lot of time traveling the world, has spent time in Antarctica, and so you can tell that she has a lot of knowledge about Antarctica and just the different things that they're doing while they're there, the different features of Antarctica, down to like the landscaping, the animals, the climate. Like she knows her stuff. But this is not reading like a typical thriller. The main character is just kind of blasé, just not really interesting, but I feel like I know exactly what has happened. Her boyfriend goes missing right before they're supposed to board the ship, and he is an art dealer. And she kind of does the financial pieces behind it. And clearly he's been hiding some things away from her that she didn't know. And I just realized, like, they hadn't even been together that long. They've been together for 7 months, which is pretty fast. And she does acknowledge that, which makes him even less trustworthy considering some of the things that are happening in this book. But he disappears right before they're supposed to board the ship. And so they are showcasing the artwork of this artist who had recently passed away, and now his like artwork is skyrocketing. And so he primarily focuses on like landscapes from Antarctica, and in order to kind of continue to boost his name, they're holding this art auction on this cruise as they cross into the Arctic Circle and see the midnight sun, which, you know, the idea behind it is interesting, but the actual like mystery thriller aspect of it is just not, I'm not really digging it, to be honest. But I'm 195 pages into this one, which puts me at a little more than halfway through. I have patron sprints tonight, so more than likely I will be focusing on this title. I may go ahead and take this with me to the salon to get my hair retwisted, but we'll see, because I know the person, my loctician, I've known her for years, and so typically when she's doing my hair, like, I don't really get to read because we're talking catching up. I don't get my hair retwisted that often, to be honest with you. I just, you know, too much digging in your locks will make your locks weak. And so I typically go, I'm way overdue. I usually go like every 6 weeks. I know some people who go like every 2 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, that's a surefire way to get your locks to pop off. But I usually get mine retwisted every 4 to 6 weeks. I've just been busy, to be honest with you. And usually I have to take the day off because it becomes this whole entire thing to get my hair done, because it typically is like in the middle of the day or in the morning, and then I'm just like, I'm not going back to work, or I'm not going into work and then leaving to go get my hair done. So I just usually take the whole day off, and so it was just convenient for me to just go ahead and get my hair done today. But yeah, we'll see how far I make it. I'm hoping, I don't know. I'm not saying that I can finish this one today. I mean, it is a possibility that I can finish this one today, but we shall see what happens. But I just wanted to give you all kind of like an insight to what my reading is like for a week. I typically only do a day, but I think giving you kind of a longer period of time will give you a better idea of how I kind of schedule pockets of reading. I'm reading all the time. Any pockets of time that I can find, I am essentially reading. So there's that. And a lot of times, like, you know, I'm not reading for content. I also have to keep up with books because it's my job. The books are my job. And I always laugh and say, like, literally, I work all day around books. I come home, I'm around books. And you think at some point I would burn out from books, but I don't. I don't know. Not to say that I don't ever fall into a reading slump. I do. There are times when I have a lot going on in my personal life and I just don't want to crack open a book, but I'm not there right now. So we're going to see how the weeks go. And what I'll do is at the beginning of each day, hopefully fingers crossed that I actually do this, I will check in and give you kind of some like statistical information of how much I've read the previous day, so you can get an idea of how I'm moving through books. I have a kind of sort of loose TBR for the week. I'm not going to do that here because I'm going to pick up whatever strikes the mood, and that's pretty much it. But I do like to finish whatever I already started on. So midnight it is, and then The Reckoning on audio. And this is an extremely long intro, so no more intro. Let's get into the reading. Let's get into the reading. Good morning, my friends. Okay, so it is Tuesday. I just wanted to hop in and talk a little bit about some of the things that I ended up finishing yesterday. which included some picture books. And of course, I don't have any titles written down, and I'm doing this on the fly. But I did end up finishing 4 picture books. I try to do on average maybe like 5 picture books a week, but sometimes it ends up being more. Like I read 2 last night for story time for my little one, and then I read 2 on my own, so it ended up being 4 picture books. I also ended up finishing a volume of manga, which is She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat volume 3, and I needed to finish that one up because it was due back at the library today. And because of patron sprints last night, I was able to make it another like 60 or 70 pages into the book that I was reading. Is it called Midnight? I can't remember the name of the daggone book because I'm so discombobulated this morning, to be honest with you. This morning was a little bit more chaotic than I anticipated. My little one was not having it this morning, and so sometimes that happens in the morning where it's a little bit more rough than what I would like, but it is what it is. I also forgot to tell y'all yesterday when I did the original check-in that I had ended up also reading 2 novellas and a part of this series by Brienne Dene, and that is the erotic love language series. And so I finished the first 2 books in that series as well. They're really, really short. Like one of them was probably like 60 pages and the other was like 80 pages. And I flew through them. I gave them both 4 stars, but they were genuinely like really, really quick reads. So that was pretty simplistic for me there. I am toggling between 2 different audiobooks right now. So just so you know, since today is Tuesday, that means that it is ordering day for me because it's new release day. So that means that I have to do carts and whatnot and do overdrive stuff this morning. And so typically when I do that stuff on Tuesdays, I am attached to my desk for a significant amount of time, which means that I like to pick out an audiobook to make it through. So we have 2 that are in rotation right now. I'm trying to make my way through The Lost Hero, which is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I'm hoping to finish that one this week, and I decided to go with the audio version of it. And it's pretty long. I mean, it's like 15-16 hours, but there was a copy of it on Hoopla, and so I was like, I'm just gonna go with that. And then I am also listening to You Only Call When You're in Trouble. I think that's what it's called. You Call When You're in Trouble, because I keep wanting to call it something else, and that's not the name of the title, but I'm pretty sure You Call When You're in Trouble. And this one is I can't decide if this is just like a regular adult fiction or if we're dealing with something that's more like literary fiction, but so far it's interesting. I'm like 2 hours in. We're following a main character who is currently in trouble for sexual misconduct at her university, and so she's been put kind of like on suspension, temporary leave, and she is reaching out to her uncle for help. Well, she has a very like rocky relationship with her mother, and so she really doesn't depend upon her mother for anything. She goes to her uncle for a lot, but her uncle is trying to like separate himself from the family because he never has the opportunity to like take care of himself. He's always looking out for everybody else, and he absolutely hates that. And as soon as he like gets to a point where he can focus on himself, because he's an architect and he's like specializing in like miniature houses, and every time he gets to a point where like he's looking out for him, here they come with their problems. So I'm not that far in. I do like that the first part of this book is really like definitely a character study, but I think this is going to have like a little bit of like family drama in it, because if I'm not mistaken, our main character doesn't know the identity of her father, and I think her mother is wanting to reveal that information, which look, I mean, I can get messy so quick. I can get messy real quick. So we're just in the very, very beginning stages. I haven't decided. I know right now, once I get finished doing this update, I am going to listen to that one, but I'm not too sure which one I'm going to listen to when I get to work. But as always, like, I don't record or film or do anything like that while I'm at work. I just don't. So most you'll probably get is me doing like probably some physical reading during my lunch break. That is when I get a lot of my physical reading done. Outside of like the evening time, I do it during my lunch break because I have an hour lunch break. So I will probably get some footage of that. But other than that, like, I'm not going to do an update or really record much of anything. So the next time that you'll be hearing from me is going to be this evening. We have a open house thing for preschool for the fall, and so that's gonna be from like 6 to 7, which is actually throwing us off a little bit because we typically have something else that we do on Tuesday nights. But now we have this open house event that I have to go to because in order for me to like apply for her to go to preschool, like, I have to go to this event. So we'll be doing that tonight. So I probably will check in like right after I get off of work to kind of update you of like how much progress I've made and everything that I've read throughout the day. And then you probably won't get another final check-in from me until later on this evening after like bath time, dinner, all that good jazz. All right, y'all. Yeah, I will check in later. Hello. Hello. I know I was supposed to check in after I got off of work, but it didn't happen because the end of the day got busy for me because as soon as I left work, I had to go with my daughter, and we literally picked up food and went straight to the preschool thing that we had to go to, and that lasted. And then we had to come home because it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't super far from our house, but it was, you know, it was a little bit of a drive, and so we had to come back, do bath time, story time, all of that. And so I have not had the chance to check in at all. So yes, but I am here to tell you about progress on stuff that I have made. Progress on stuff that I have made. Progress that I have made on stuff that I've been reading. Oh my gosh. Okay. So first, I know this morning I didn't get the chance to tell you about the picture books that I had read last night. Because I couldn't remember the titles of anything, but I ended up reading Place Hand Here by Katie Yamazaki, Addie and the Amazing Acrobats by Shauna Kagan, The Princess and the Greedy Pea by Lee Hodgkinson, and then The House with 100 Stories by Toshio Iwa. So those were the 4 that I ended up reading last night, 2 with my daughter, 2 by myself. I did get a chance to read today. I was dipping and dabbing on a bunch of different things. So let's kind of break this down. I continued reading the 3rd book in the, what is the series called? Because I'm about to mess it up. It is the Erotic Love Language series. I ended up reading, I took a 15-minute break this morning, and I ended up making it about 50% through that one, which is, it's a novella. It's really, really short. It's only 40 pages. So I probably will, when I take a break tomorrow, I probably will go ahead and finish that one up. I also ended up listening primarily throughout the day, not consistently throughout the day, because it's not like I can take my whole shift and listen. Like, some days are like that. Like, tomorrow might be one of those days, but today wasn't one of those days where I could like listen from the time I walked into the time that I left. But I did make it 81% through You Only Call When You're in Trouble by Stephen Macaulay, or Stephen Macaulay. I can't remember if they said Stephen or Stephen Macaulay. This is an interesting book. I keep picking up books that are very much so like family mess, character study vibes. And which is, nothing's wrong with that. Like, I think it's an enjoyable read. It's actually told in 3 perspectives. It's an uncle, a mother, and a daughter. And the mother is super dependent upon her brother, which is the daughter's uncle. And there is some revelation about like her true, who her father is. Messy, 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 messy. But we get to know each one of the characters through their past experiences and their current experiences, and how that's kind of like informed the relationships that they have with each other. And it's fascinating. Definitely a character study, some commentary about like the difficult nature of like academia, which I've heard some very, very interesting things about, being like a professor. That's a cutthroat and toxic place to be, and that's definitely handled in this. And I think I talked about this morning about like her trying to deal with a what was her case? Her case was, it was a sexual misconduct case, and it's rough. It's really, really rough. But and I've only been listening to that one, like I said in my introduction. I primarily listen to my audiobooks now at 1.5. So I've been listening to that one at 1.5, 81% in. I have 2 hours left. While I get ready for bed, I probably will listen to a little bit more of that. But going into tomorrow, when I get to work, I'm going to switch over to listening to The Lost Hero, because that is one that I wanted to get through this week. Once again, it's a longer audiobook, and with me listening now at lower speeds, it's going to be a little bit different of a situation. Today was also new release day, and so I added 3 new audiobooks to my TBR. Not for this week per se, but 3 books that released today that I wanted to pick up was So Let Them Burn, which is Jamaican inspired fantasy, YA fantasy. Escaping Mr. Rochester, which is a queer, I think Jane Eyre retelling by L.L. McKinney. And then we have a queer Pride and Prejudice retelling called Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Navoa. So those are 3 that I had been looking forward to releasing today, and I got my hands on all 3 of the audiobooks in my library, and then on top of that, my hold for The Wicked King just came in, and I have no more space. So I will check that out once I finish up You Only Call When You're in Trouble. I'm trying to think what else I ended up making progress on. Oh, okay. So I am very, very close to finishing Midnight by Amy McCullough. This book is this is probably going to end up getting 2 stars from me. I am about 30-odd-ish pages away from finishing this book. I am tempted to go ahead and knock this out tonight, because the way that I feel, I'm trying to figure out what can happen in 30 pages. Because I feel like I already know, like, who's responsible. I already know who's responsible. Like, we just had another person die. And it's clear who the person is. So, I think at this point, I just want to be done. So, I think I just want to be done. And in order for me to just be done, I just want to go ahead and knock out the last little bit of this probably tonight. So, tomorrow is probably the day, which is Wednesday, where you are going to see things just start being completed. That's usually how it goes in the beginning of the week. I'm starting kind of like a new set of books, or kind of like some leftovers from the previous week, and then by the middle of the week is when things start kind of like tacking on of things that I have finished for the week. So far I have finished those 2 romance novellas, and also a volume of manga. I'm still reading a middle grade graphic novel right now, and then we'll go from there. I don't know what I'm going to read next physically, so I kind of do this rotation process, which is something newer for me that I'm trying out, that I haven't really done before in the past, where I rotate things in and out. So for example, this is my current physical read. As soon as I finish this, I need to have another book lined up to read physically. Now, I'm not sure what that selection is going to be just yet. I haven't made up my mind. It probably will be another library book because I need to get my library books read, and I'm thinking it might be, I may go with a romance. I have a romance checked out that I think I want to start. I have a romance and there's a YA fantasy that I want to start, but either way, finish with the physical book. I'm going to rotate another physical book in. Once I finish with that audiobook, I rotate another audiobook in. Finish my ebook, rotate another ebook in. And then same thing with my graphic novels, comics, and manga. So I'm in the midst of reading one middle grade graphic novel right now. When I finish that, I'll rotate another one in. I can pick up another manga now because I finished the manga that I had on deck, and I haven't really been picking up any comics. So it's like for each thing, I am rotating something in and out constantly. So which is why it always looks like I'm reading so much at one time, because really I am reading a lot at one time, but they're typically different formats, different genres, different age categories, and so I don't feel super overwhelmed or get storylines mixed up. I don't like reading too much of the same thing at one time. So, you know, we have a romance going for the ebook right now. We have a thriller for the physical book, and then a lit fic for the audiobook. Very, very different genres, very, very different storylines. It helps me keep the story straight as I'm going through. I think that's it for right now. I'm kind of looking around trying to decide what else is going to happen, but I think for right now, I have a video that I need to upload for the comic channel, and then I'm going to unwind and get ready for bed, and probably go ahead and knock this out. I will probably get only like 30 minutes of my audiobook listening done. I also didn't say this. When I go to sleep at night, I listen to my audiobook because honestly, at this point in my life, which is something that I've trained my body to do this, which I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, to be quite honest, but I have trained my body to, it only feels comfortable going to sleep if I have an audiobook playing in the background. And so on the Libby app, I think on Hoopla as well, you can set a timer. And I usually set a 30-minute timer because I'm usually asleep within the 30 minutes. I probably listen to a good like maybe 5 to 10 of it before I'm completely knocked out, which is fine because then when I wake up in the morning, I just know to go 30 minutes back to where I was before. So I probably won't listen to any more of the audiobook because when I'm home, unless I'm like cleaning or doing other stuff like that, I do tend to read more physical and ebook than audio. Audio I kind of reserve for drive to work, and then, you know, while I'm at work or if I'm doing chores around the house. But that is it for right now, y'all. I just wanted to give y'all that update, and I will update on what I finish tonight tomorrow morning. Bye. Hello, my friends. I did not do a check-in yesterday at all. I think you just got some B-roll footage, and we are about, it's Thursday, and we are about to step into Friday, and so before that, I did want to kind of do a check-in because we have a lot to talk about. Okay, so one of the things I think I picked up on from the last clip is that I had said that like I had not finished, it was one book I didn't mention finishing, which was The Reckoning by Wade Hudson. I had finished that book as well, and I had not talked about it. Since then, I have finished 5 books. Y'all, I wish I had an explanation. Even though I read a lot, I think that this year has been a year where I have literally been reading a lot already in January. Okay, so I did end up finishing Midnight by Amy McCulloch, however you say her last name. 2 stars. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And then I kind of went on an audiobook trip. So I ended up finishing You Only Call When You're in Trouble by Stephen McCauley. This was a fun, interesting, heartfelt, like, family drama. I really did enjoy that one. I listened to that one in audio. Ended up giving that one 4 stars. And then I finished Lucky 7, which is the 3rd book in the erotic love language series. So hot. This one was really short. I think I had talked about this one, like reading like 50% of it during like a lunch break or something like that. And I ended up finishing it last night because I didn't talk about it. Maybe I talked about finishing Midnight as well. Who knows? My brain is all discombobulated right now. I also finished Night of the Ninjas, the graphic novel. I finished that one this morning. I took like maybe like 15-20 minutes just to read this morning because I woke up a little earlier than normal. And so I decided to finish that. And then I also ended up finishing Most Ardently by Gabe called Novoa, which is part of those young adult like classic remix books. And I really, really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving that one like 4.5 stars. Granted, I haven't written any reviews for this stuff yet because I usually write my reviews on Saturday and Sunday for the week so that I can do my weekly wrap-ups. So now the question is, what am I currently reading? And I don't know how much more I'm gonna make it through this week. Who knows? I'm banking on finishing like 2 or 3 more like larger books this week. And then when we talk about picture books, chapter books, and graphic novels, that's a completely different conversation. But I am currently, which I didn't bring my book upstairs to me because I just didn't feel like it. I am currently finishing up The Lost Hero. Not finishing up, I'm currently listening to that one. I'm 20% into that one. And then the surprise, well, not really, because you saw the B-roll footage of this one, but I started reading Icebreaker yesterday. Yesterday was a day that I started reading Icebreaker. I was not planned for me to read Icebreaker, but my copy is due back to the library soon, and I wanted to go ahead and read it before I had to return it. It's still going to be a little late because I'm not going to return it until next week, and I think it is actually due on Saturday, but it's fine. I return it on Monday. So I started this yesterday, got a little way through it, and ended up making it 130 pages into Icebreaker. I don't know. It's one of those books, once again, that's like really, really easy to read. Like, can read that pretty quickly. Reading that physically is... I also would like to point out that I think I've talked about this, like, I read pretty quickly physically. If I set down a chunk of time to read, I am going to read. I'm going to fly through it. I also just finished up 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 picture books, which, I mean, I can show them to you really, really quick. I'm not going to review them because I have that picture book log that will be out after this goes up. So I did end up finishing my book. Looks like, if I could just move these, I'm actually about to film the clip for that log in a second. Dang it. My Year with Cancer, or Mama's Year with Cancer, I'm sorry. Keep Dreaming Black Child, Between Two Windows, Sometimes I Cry, Water Day, getting all types of discombobulated here. 11, Words for Love, Evergreen, just one of the best ones that I read out of this bunch, and then Make Way, which is a informational picture book. I had 5 more that I was going to read, but I need to pick up some other stuff, including finishing up some material for the YA Rewind, which I'm going to be reading for tonight. I don't think I have the book that I need with me at this moment, which is fine. It's okay. I don't have the book with me, but I'm going to be reading one of those books. And then I have a couple of like children's chapter books that I just need to finish up, so I can get the next books in the series, so I can catch up with the series. I have Desmond Cole Ghost Patrol book number 6, and then I have Isla of Adventure Deep in the Rainforest. This is book number 3 in this series. So I'm going to be probably reading those and then reading for my vlog that's going up on Saturday. I just have a little bit left to do for that vlog. I want to read more Icebreaker, but I'm probably not going to read any more tonight because I need to prioritize some other things. But I'm going to hop off and get some more reading done. Hopefully, I will give you an update in the morning on what I end up finishing, because clearly yesterday was like a non-update day. But hopefully you're getting a feel for like how my reading goes and what I end up doing for the week. So yeah, I will check in later. Hey y'all, so I wanted to do this last little quick update because clearly I didn't do any updates the way I was supposed to do updates. I was supposed to do an update on that Friday and that never happened. So here we are. I ended up finishing my read of The Lost Hero throughout the week. I also ended up finishing 5 beginner readers. And then I didn't finish, I didn't finish the book by Hannah Grace. So I didn't end up finishing Icebreaker, but I made a significant, I've read a significant portion of it by the time the week ended. And I did my final update, or my weekly wrap up. I only had like 100 pages left of Icebreaker. So I read a big chunk of that week. And then I ended up starting a new book, which is The Selkie's Daughter. And I read about 50 pages of that one. And then I also finished 2 children's chapter books, which was Amy and the Missing Puppy, and then also the next book in the Desmond Cole Ghost Patrol series. So all in all, if we're doing our math right, I ended up finishing, and of course it's going to take me forever because I got to go and count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I finished 31 things in a week. And that is an average reading week for me. And so yeah, it was a good reading week. I think that I say it's an average reading week, but I think that one was a little bit more than what I typically read in a week, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, I hope you got a taste of what my reading is like, how much I read within a week, and why I am able to finish so many books by the end of the year. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to know more details, let me know in the comment box down below. Remember, I also will link, or I should have linked, but if not, I will do it now. I should have linked my wrap up, my weekly wrap up for all of the stuff that I finished this week. I reviewed everything that I read this week. And so you can see all that information in that wrap up, which, yeah, if you want details, that's where you should go. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. And if you're looking for ways to support the channel, all the links will be down in the description box below, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.
But you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in